This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to this week's seminar on conversational selling. In our first kickoff session, we really talked a lot about your belief and your why. Now, in this session, we're going to talk about the selling features, and it really is about making connections. We're going to dive in and find out how we can get those conversations started and make new people that will join your team and become a part of your team, and also to become customers as well. In this session, we're going to be talking about that first S in the boss life. Remember, B is for belief, and this S is for selling. And selling is really about making new friends, making those connections. We're going to also go over how to grow your business. And grow stands for getting to know the person or needs, recommend the right Avon solution, offer a relatable story. That's that 30-second commercial for you. And then work to establish next steps. So as I mentioned, we are talking about the first S in BOSS, which is all about selling. Now think to yourself, if you've actually been somewhere where you've either had encountered someone who is a little more timid and passive, and also even, I would say worse, for me anyways, the overly aggressive person. So here's a couple examples. Here's the timid and passive. I really enjoy working for Avon. Maybe we can chat one day about what it could do for you. Wow, it doesn't really want to engage me there, does it? Does it you? Then we have the overly aggressive person. Hey, are you looking for an opportunity like any other? Are you seeking a social life that provides financial freedom? Well, then do I have the answer for you? And then, of course, sticking an Avon brochure in your face. Those are the kind of things we want to avoid. And really, we want you confident enough to grow your business. So how we're going to do that, we want to consider every conversation a potential opportunity. So think about all the places you go and how you could strike up conversations. And in that conversation, here are those 4 things. So simple. G, get to know that person or needs. R, recommend the right Avon solution. O, offer relatable stories and demonstrate your belief. And then W, work to establish next steps. Now we're going to break that down into a little bit smaller bites. First, we're going to talk about the G part. This is really getting to start a conversation, and then just 2 is to dig a little bit deeper. Let's see how that goes. So I want you to think about, when was your last chance encounter? And of course, a chance encounter is, hey, I was out and about and I was standing in the grocery line and I struck a conversation with someone. You need to think about if that's something that you do on a regular basis, and how does that conversation go? Or is that something that is difficult for you? And we would want you to baby step yourself outside your comfort zone and really give this a try. So think about some chance encounters could be, gosh, I've heard people say, wow, I was at the coffee shop and there was a lady there and we started talking and struck up a conversation. Or I was in a really long line at the grocery store and struck up a conversation. You could be in a mall. You could be at a beauty counter. You could be in a doctor's office or a PTA meeting or anything in between. Think of where those chance encounters could happen and how we can strike up those conversations. It's really about just making friends. So conversation starters to make new connections. Think again about, we have 2 options here. Usually people fall into one of these 2 options where it's the more comfort zone for you. You either find common ground and that's your comfort zone, or you like to compliment and that's your comfort zone. So the common ground really is, here's a good example. Wow, this grocery line is so long. Who has time for this? How would you rather be spending your time? Starting up that conversation. Or option two, would you rather compliment them? This, I have to tell you, is my default. I usually go in for the compliments. So here's a good example for that. Wow, you look so sharp. What do you do? And once you find out, how do you like doing that? Right? Those are going to give you open-ended questions that's going to help start that conversation. Again, making new friends. So after you connect, get her talking and find out what matters most to her. And it doesn't have to be a long conversation. However, you do want to make sure that your questions are open-ended. You want anything that you're asking her, you want to make sure, for the most part, they can't answer yes or no. It's got to be more of a conversation. So what are those? They are why, what, how, who, when, and of course, the all-important, tell me about that. And then the most important thing of all is really just to be a good listener. We want you to be interested in what they're saying, not having you be interesting. So again, they'll do most of the talking. So here's some examples. How is your job going? Tell me about what you do. How do you do it, managing your family and a career? What do you think is the hardest part of staying home with your kids? If you could change your situation, what would you change? And lastly, why do you like volunteering with a PTA so much? So much information could be given to you when you know those open-ended questions to ask. So now we're going to dig a little deeper. You got to listen. Listening skills is such an important piece of this. So digging deeper, we'll find out what matters most by listening with questions. Listen for the needs and wants. Ask them, why is making new friends so important to you? Be thinking about that. What would more flexibility in your day mean to you? And what would more money mean to your family? These are just some examples of what could come up in the conversation from what the other person is telling you. So here's a good conversation. We'll go quickly through it. Sally met Sarah at spin class and asked her to have coffee. So here's how that conversation is going. So they already know they have a common ground of going to spin class together, and now they're going to have some coffee. Hi, Sarah. Happy Friday. I'm so glad we could connect for coffee. Me too. That spin class is awesome. We have so much fun. It's great stress release. I am with you. I feel great after every class. Did I hear you say that you have 3 kids, one which is in college? I only have one little guy, and I feel like I can hardly keep my head above water. Yes, that's right. I also have a crazy dog, and my 2 boys are on a traveling soccer team. I spend my weekend schlepping them all over the place. I don't envy you there. What else causes you stress? Oh gosh, I work from home as a book editor. I spend my days on the computer with very little interaction. I need to connect with a human over the age of 14. I get it. If you could create a life that you would dream about, what would that life look like? I would have less stress. I would have lots of friends to hang out with, and I would have plenty of money to help pay for my daughter's college and travel. I love experiencing new places. So you can see just in that little example how that conversation might go. She's really, Sally's really asking those open-ended questions. And now we're going to get a little deeper. So Sarah, why do you feel being connected and having friends are so important to you now? Since my divorce, I have felt so isolated. We had to move to a new area, and I've not felt up to finding new friends. I totally understand. I am divorced, and I felt the same way when I went through it. You mentioned you would love to have more money to help pay for college and travel more. What would it mean to you if you had more money for these things? Well, first, I would feel relieved that my daughter will not graduate from college with a ton of debt. I don't want her to have the level of stress at such a young age. Also, by having more money to travel, I could fulfill my lifelong dream of visiting Europe. So now that she's dug deeper, you can think about how can Sally use this information and to sell Sarah on the Avon opportunity, because man, it sounds like she is perfect for it. So how she's going to get there is by going to the R in grow. We're going to clarify the needs, communicate a solution, and then connect the dots, making sure that we know what she really wants. So 1 is to clarify the needs and wants. 2, communicate that right Avon solution. And 3, connecting the dots. How does the solution meet her needs and wants? So just reiterating that there. So number 1 is all about why is it important to clarify. You may want to make sure she's really understands that you understand her needs and wants. Don't assume anything. You want to possibly identify any additional needs and wants she might have. And then make sure her needs and wants have not changed since the last conversation. You always want to make sure she feels heard. And then we're going to communicate, given your need to get extra money for your daughter's college, you know, it's like you need that for your daughter's college. I recommend that you start with Avon because you can make extra money to help pay for that, right? That will give her the benefits, and she'll also know you were listening, which is always so important. So now we're going to recommend the right solution. We're going to see how that goes. It sounds like you would love to connect with some new people and make some extra money to help pay for your daughter's college and travel. Is that right? Notice she's asking. That's a good time to ask a definitive question. Yes, I would love to do that. And of course, the right Avon solution is you should join my team as an Avon representative. You can make new friends and be a part of a great group of women. The ladies on my team are fabulous. Everyone supports each other and has a lot of fun. You would just love them. As a rep for Avon, you can also earn extra money for your daughter's college and for cool trips. You can help her avoid the stress when she graduates, and you can take that dream trip to Europe. Who doesn't want to have fun with friends and make money at the same time? Oops. So we also want to be prepared for every option that you might have. If we want to identify those next steps, it feels like you're still mulling this over. Why don't you sleep on it? I think about any potential concerns or questions you might have, and we can connect again in 2 days. How would you prefer to be contacted? And she says, I prefer text or phone. Fantastic. Let me add you now. When we connect later this week, we can determine if you think it would be worthwhile to grab coffee with Kelsey. She's fantastic and reminds me of you. We could also have you attend our team meeting if you would like that. Great. Talk to you soon. See how easy that went. And it's really just by asking all those questions. And of course, the fortune is in the follow-up. Hashtag follow-up fails. Not following up at all is really a big no-no. We don't want to do that. We want to connect. We don't want to connect through Twitter when they've requested text, email, or Facebook. We want to make sure we're offering up things of value. So not offering anything of value is not anything that's going to be good for the other person. And then we also want to adjust your plan of attack. If she's not on your schedule, then you really need to be on hers, because it's really about her at this moment. It really is what is good for her. We need to be able to adjust. And then, of course, cut your losses. Sometimes a no is just a no. The telltale signs you are rocking it, right? It'll feel natural, less salesy. Your prospect will be visibly at ease. Make sure you look for all those visual cues. They're leaning in, they're nodding their head. And you may get even 15 minutes of information being shared with you. I can tell you from experience, if you ask the right questions, people will tell you so much about themselves. And once we listen with questions, we'll be able to ask all the right questions to get them the right Avon solution. And don't forget, it's okay to fake it till you make it. Here's the application guide that I will be sending to you to fill out for this seminar of conversational selling. And this is something we will talk about on our one-on-one. So remember, get ready to grow your business. Thank you so much. And I will be reaching out for our one-on-one time. And don't forget our collaboration calls. Have a great day.